Hello, Hearties! Welcome to the Hearties Hotline. I am Cammie, the hooked Heartie.
Sarah, the hawk-eyed Heartie, and today we are here to talk about When Calls the Heart, Season 12. We are already at episode 5. Mom's the word.
Okay, 2 questions of the day to start you off right off the bat.
Double, okay.
Mom's the word. What did you think was going to happen in this episode with a title like that? What did you think was going to happen?
I classically completely overthought it.
Of course you did.
And yeah, I was really like trying to dig deep. And, we've talked about like what's going on with Oliver's mom. Could that play into this? We knew there was going to be this secretive new person coming into town. We thought maybe she is somebody's mom. I think we even had talked last week about it maybe having something to do with Rosemary and Goldie.
Yeah, possibly.
And it never really crossed my mind that we were just simply talking about Elizabeth, the main character, who's a mom and sort of a stepmom now. So yeah, kind of missed. I feel like I missed just the obvious.
So, may I say, I called it.
You called it so bad. The second that last scene, and I'm sitting there going, is this exactly what Cammie said? Like exactly? I don't know. Did you say all of that on the podcast, or was that you and I talking one time? Because it was word for word what you had told me anyway. The hilarious thing is, and I haven't been feeling well this week, so
she hasn't been thinking clearly.
I haven't been thinking clearly, but I will admit that I was not on my like Hawkeye best, even while the earlier scenes with little Jack and being uncomfortable calling her mom at school. Even during those scenes, it didn't cross my mind that's where we were going to end up with Allie and her having this conversation this episode. I was still not making the connection until she literally was like sitting there on the porch talking to her. And then I was like, oh, it's all coming together.
So, Hearties, you know that preview of Elizabeth being sick and drunk on cold medicine? Just imagine Sarah. Okay, question number 2 for you. Do you trust Ava?
No.
Good answer.
Are there any Hearties that do?
I don't think so. I haven't heard anybody.
Just playing devil's advocate, trying to think of something logical, something that would make sense, that wouldn't be deceptive and dishonest. I can't think of anything.
Oh, good.
She's clearly not being honest about something. And I can't for the life of me come up with something that could be explained away to where everyone would like her.
Yeah.
And in fact, my biggest connection, the thing that popped into my brain more times than not while I'm watching her on the screen, every word that came out of her mouth, extreme Billy Hamilton vibes.
Oh, I know. Female Billy Hamilton. I mean,
I swear, like, could this be his sister or his cousin? I mean, she just knows too much. And I know Elizabeth published a book and told her life story, so everybody knows it. But it's just too coincidental.
When she started to say, what was I thinking to think I could come out here and live the life that you wrote about in a book, I thought, oh, she's finally coming clean. But then she didn't. She didn't come clean. And I mean, the second that Mike said it's on the house, I wrote down her order because holy mackerel. And I loved Mike's face when she kept on when she kept on going. Ben Rosenbaum, you are a fabulous reaction giver. But yeah, ribeye steak, baked potato, shrimp cocktail, apple pie a la mode. So not just plain apple pie with ice cream and a grilled cheese.
At first, I was like, oh, okay, she's going to take advantage of the kindness. But with that level, like that's more than one person can eat. So it's not like you're just like, oh, okay, I'm going to get the most expensive thing on the menu because I'm an heiress and I don't think about money. To me, it seemed more of an angle than a ditzy, self-absorbed kid who is not used to being out on her own and is taking advantage.
It says drinks on me.
When you're being comped. That's hilarious. That it very much just screams con artist to me.
Yeah, it screams it to me. And then Elizabeth bought her clothes. I mean, you saw Nathan's face. Elizabeth says, I want to help her the way Abigail helped me, which was noble, but Elizabeth's motives were completely pure.
Let's compare the two.
Okay.
Elizabeth was invited to the town. So she had that going for her. There's that. They knew she was coming. They knew her name. Yeah. So they knew why she was there and what her purpose was.
Mm-hmm.
She did burn down a building immediately.
First night.
So, I mean, that's a negative for Elizabeth right there. So there's your con on the list. But then she
arrived with nothing.
She did arrive with nothing. But she also pitched in and helped with cooking, which she was not good at, but she tried to kind of carry her weight, so to speak. Yeah. It's almost a cross between her and Rosemary when she arrived, and she would like go in and just start singing and dancing.
Yes.
So it was almost a cross between the two arrivals in the town.
Well, and when she said, the only thing I noticed in school were boys, and then Allie immediately calls her. I mean, go back to when Nathan said, you're the daughter of a Mountie. Yeah, she is, because she can recognize the things that don't add up. Like, I thought Mrs. Thornton said you wanted to be a teacher, and you can tell she backtracked for a split second and panicked, but then she thought of a reason. There is way too much happening here that does not add up, and Nathan saw that. Nathan saw that immediately, and he doesn't trust her. You can tell.
What is your opinion on Nathan's approach to not draw that to Elizabeth's attention yet? I immediately recalled his initial gut reaction with Tom and how defensive Elizabeth then got, and that was rather uncomfortable for the two of them at the time. Granted, they weren't a couple yet.
Yeah.
But I felt like I could just see this look on his face of like, I need to restrain my concern for a later time. Like, nothing has actually happened yet. Yes, this is weird, but clearly Elizabeth's very excited about it, very passionate about it. I need to not jump into Mountie mode with her immediately.
Well, and the other thing is, he did not witness anything that happened. He didn't witness her running up a huge tab. He didn't witness them buying clothes. She just said her trunks got stolen.
Yeah.
And then he got suspicious when things started adding up. And when Elizabeth said she came here because of my book, he went,
It is slightly odd. Yeah.
yeah, it is odd. I think that he's trying to be more trusting because in the past she has gotten on him for not being trusting enough or for jumping to bad conclusions. I mean, she accused him of doing that with Lucas, which in a way he did a little bit. So, yeah, I think he's trying to not be as quick to jump to bad conclusions. The other thing was, I think he was too distracted to tell Elizabeth that he's going out of town and make the arrangements for Allie. So I think put all of that together. And the other thing is, I don't think that he's going to worry too much about her right now because number one, he's got this undercover assignment to worry about, which we'll talk about in a second. And then um he told her to come and fill out a report. And so he knows that if she doesn't come,
That's
that
suspicious.
that's suspicious.
He also knows that if she does come, that's his opportunity to find out more and see if there really is a suspicion.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't think he's too worried about her right now, but he doesn't trust her.
Yeah.
So let's go to the undercover assignment. Because, oh, she's got the. Because I was a huge fan of Danny DeMarco and the process that they went through to get him.
Yeah, that was special.
Teaching him how to walk. And she says, a gambler. And immediately the music changed. Did you hear that?
Mhm.
Immediate change into the 20s gangster type of black and white movie. It was classic. It was classic. I loved it. And then trying to have him copy that swagger. Oh, poor Nathan. He walks like a cop.
He does. He's also just so tall. I feel like it's harder to get the saunter when you're that tall.
I didn't even think about that.
Well, you're just, especially the like such long arms and everything. I just feel like it looks more awkward when you, I don't know. It just, I don't know. It just is a different look.
Oh my goodness.
So, why do you think they went with white for the tuxedo? It was so stark.
It was, but white, a white tuxedo was becoming a thing in the 20s. And so it shows snazziness. It doesn't show as much class, it more shows money. And I'm not afraid to wear this white coat out because I'm not going to go near anyone who would get it dirty. So
And I
it's
have enough money that if it gets dirty, I can just buy another one.
exactly. And snazziness. He looked, whoa. he looked very snazzy.
Uh-huh. I'll 100% agree with that. I thought it was kind of funny when he was wearing it still in Hope Valley, like as he's getting ready to go. Like, obviously, a bunch of people are going to see you in this, even if it hadn't been Elizabeth. Like, Florence like sees you getting into this car like that. You're gonna be the talk of the town.
Luckily, he was traveling to a different town to do this assignment. So not even Florence can get the gossip train going that quickly. But and to be fair, he was headed to the car.
Yes.
He was headed to the car and he probably didn't have time to change. So they were Yeah, so they were probably going to go over all the details in the car because of the previews and because he was in Hope Valley in the jacket. I thought there were going to be more of, to coin Bill's phrase, moon eyes. I thought we were going to get more of that, and I was slightly disappointed, but I see that more is coming in future episodes, so I am totally fine.
I mean, they've leaked so much, but at the same time, they're doing it in a really great way where you really don't know what's coming. You know
Yeah.
what you see, but there's also hints at Elizabeth dreaming something when she's sick. Again, when we're sick, we just aren't thinking clearly. And there's also rumor that she's helping him with some sort of assignment at some point. So we see pictures, but we're also like, we don't know which picture is from what. So we still don't know actually what is going to be real, so to speak, in terms of Elizabeth getting all dressed up and going dancing.
Here's the conversation. You look very handsome. Really? I'm supposed to blend in. Fat chance of that. There'll be plenty of time for moon eyes later. And then I it's so small but so telling. The touch and rub of the arm as he gets in the car. Be safe. And he winked at her. I think that's the first time that he's winked since they've been a couple.
For me, I mean, I think it's funny because that comment from her, while a compliment, obviously, and a sweet comment from her, I think also had kind of a negative impact on his confidence for the assignment because he's like, but I want to blend in. I don't want to be flashy. But at the same time, like it's a very clear difference between, yeah, you're not gonna blend in here in Hope Valley because nobody's wearing that.
Well,
Nobody owns a white tuxedo in Hope Valley.
no.
Um, but where he's going, that will blend in.
Yes. And the other thing is, I think that Elizabeth's compliment was a very welcome change to Nathan's ego after being told that he has the face that Toddy would be able to take him for a ride and
Mhm.
that he would blend in and he has the type of face that no one really notices and that it's generic.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah, I think he needed a little bit of an ego boost
Yeah, which
to get into
I
character.
think Elizabeth gave that to him very well. So the other half of this was something that I don't know how many Hearties really noticed this, but it came to me immediately, probably because I've been having my own marathon through the seasons. It's taking me forever, by the way.
We
But
are in the 12th season already, so it gets a little harder to do marathons now.
it does, yes. But something that I noticed was, here's my sparkle word again for their relationship, mature.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how mature their relationship is. He takes her arm. And I just loved the tiny little detail that while her arm is through his arm, he has to take her hand too. Just adorable. It's just cute. But he says, I'm leaving on assignment. I can't tell you what it's about. And she asks, can you tell me what it's about? No. Where are you going? I wish I could tell you. He is being as honest as he possibly can be, and she is also accepting those answers. That
Mm-hmm.
is very different from the way she and Jack were in the beginning. This is a brand new relationship, and she is acting very differently from the first time she was in a brand new relationship with a Mountie. And he is also being a whole lot more open than Jack was being,
Yeah.
probably because he had this beautiful girl that he was raising. And
Mhm.
so he learned how to say what he could to give reassurances, but not divulge any information. But I just loved that whole scene and seeing how far both of them had come, being completely honest and as honest as they could be, asking the right questions and accepting the answers. Because, I mean, when all is said and done, did he lie to her? Yes, he did. Or rather, he withheld information. And so he is being completely honest as much as possible. And she is accepting it at a very mature level. And
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been nice to see a homecoming in that white jacket, but you know, I can wait.
Yeah. Maybe next time.
I will say this though, Nathan missed witnessing another beautiful scene between his girls.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's almost more meaningful that he just knows it's happening without seeing it. Like he can see. No, I know, but I mean like imagining him then coming home and seeing how much they've clearly bonded while he was away without having witnessed it. In some ways that's kind of sweeter to
Yes,
just
that
like
is
have him
true.
be like, "Oh, I wish I knew what had happened." Like having that unknown is almost kind of cool.
I want to see you. I mean, you know how much
Yeah.
of a reaction girl I am. I'm
Yeah.
always talking about reaction. So that's what I want to see. I want to see his reaction. I am waiting for that first reaction when Allie calls Elizabeth by her first name in front of him. I am
Mhm. Yeah.
so waiting for that reaction.
Yeah. No, I think that is going to be very sweet. I hope we
All
see.
right. One more aspect we have to talk about with Nathan while you still have the hat on, because I have it right here in my notes. Sarah's gonna be thrilled.
Oh, okay. I see
There
my
it is.
name. Yeah.
Yep. Sarah's gonna be thrilled. The board. Nathan's own board.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Okay, moving on from the mystery. Time to tip your hat.
Taking the hat off. Okay.
Okay, Fiona. I mean,
Welcome
maybe
back.
maybe you should leave the hat on
I
because
know it does seem very mysterious. There's clearly something she's not sharing with everyone yet.
uh-uh. And I mean, she was getting highly emotional so many times. There was something going on. And Faith is clearly not happy, number one, about the fact that Fiona's not staying. And number two, that Fiona is choosing to accept a third proposal from the fella who keeps proposing. I gotta see this. Yeah.
Right.
And is this art imitating life? Did Kevin have to propose over and over again?
I don't know. I mean, it does feel like there's potentially something that she's not saying about Nashville, that more happened there than just feeling like she was, had done everything she could do.
Uh-huh.
Um, but also that could feel very deflating to have been working so hard at something and then really feel like you've hit roadblocks and can't go any further. Um, knowing that her two best friends, one of them has adopted, is like quote unquote adopting a child, and one of them just got married, and you could feel very much like you are halted and that you're not moving forward. That's a very common feeling, I think, for anybody, not just women. When you get to a certain age and you see everyone that you know doing things that you thought you might be doing by this point in your
Absolutely.
life. And that can happen at any age.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
not being where you thought you would be. And so it could be a very simple, just common thing. And maybe there was no big catalyst event, but it does feel like there's something she's not saying, at least. I'm not really sure why she thinks she can't come back to Hope Valley, if it's that she just feels like there's bigger things out there she needs to pursue. But she
I
also
mean,
just,
she said, I need to be where I can make a difference. So I think that she just doesn't feel as needed in Hope Valley. And from the way that she was talking, it sounds like this fella is from a wealthy family, because she was talking about wealthy married women heading everything up. And so she thinks that if she becomes a wealthy married woman, and she's not only going to rely on her husband's money, but she's going to sell the hair salon. And so she has her own money to bring to the marriage. And then she can spend her energy and her time heading the cause, because she'll have the money to do so, and she'll have the status as a married woman, because back then that was everything.
it does. It just goes so much against the Fiona character that I thought
It
we get.
does. Yeah, that's the
She
weirdest
very
part.
much seems like someone who would want to be independent, would want to do it herself, would see the value in not settling for something as a means to an end. And just it just very much, and it almost kind of echoes season 2 Faith with her fiance Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder, like, okay, it doesn't really seem like Fiona knows this gentleman very well. Have they had actual discussions about, is he comfortable with her being that type of wife and bringing and selling this business and bringing this money and being this political activist?
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that he would even be comfortable entertaining, or is he
Yeah.
looking for a wife who will stay at home and raise the children,
Yeah.
um, and change for him?
That's
And
what Peter was looking for, and Faith didn't know that.
yeah, and that's my only point, is they were actually a serious relationship and had been courting, and she still didn't know that. But Fiona doesn't know this man. She hasn't even been in the same city as him for years. So for her to have a great idea of what that relationship would look like, I can't imagine she's that certain
I
how it
mean,
would go.
if he has proposed to her twice already and he's now done it a third time, they've got to know each other a little bit. I'm wondering if it's a case of childhood sweethearts, or they used to be childhood friends, and so he has that.
Charles Kensington vibes.
Yes,
Yeah. And
precisely.
he proposed to her without them being on the same page about a lot of stuff.
Oh, yes.
So yeah.
This is going to be interesting to see where all of this goes,
Yeah.
because it looks like we will see it resolved. We just don't know how yet.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not sure how available Kayla was for filming, but I don't imagine she's in the whole season or the whole rest of the season.
Oh, yeah, I don't imagine that either.
So I feel like it'll probably be addressed in the next 1, 2, maybe 3 episodes tops. um, or maybe comes and goes.
Yeah. Okay. A shout out must go to our two public officials. That's what we need to start calling them. L&L, our public officials.
Okay.
Because they finally resolved their differences. They don't agree, which is fine, but they're not angry at each other anymore. And bless Fiona, Mike, and Joseph for the part that all three of them had in it.
I think it's kind of funny that I didn't that we didn't even see this coming, because once it was in the works, it was like, oh, of course they're not going to actually talk unless they are tricked into it. That's like the perfect solution.
But we did say that something was going to happen to force them to. So we had
Yes,
that part right.
we did have that part right.
Yeah.
Um,
And
you and I talked about this before, but Hickam always ends up being the one who's like on the peripheral. Someone like gives him directions and he ends up having to like carry out some master plan to help somebody or to coordinate something. um and it's just, I just love his character and it was just so beautifully done. He was still not the mastermind, but he was like right there, and like his execution of plans is amazing.
oh, yeah. Well, we go from I'll be right with you, Fiona. Fiona, which is another reaction. I love the man's reactions. And then her saying, "Doesn't anyone meddle anymore?" And then, of course, he needed help coming up with the plan, but then he said, "We did a little meddling in your honor." So I heard in an interview with several cast members that Chris has actually been fighting for rumpled hair scenes. And so chasing the cow caused a rumpled hair look, and he loved it. And so then being caught in the woods caused more rumpled hair. And so he was really, really happy with that. Just like I heard Kevin say that he had to fight for the unbuttoned serge, showing the white shirt through, which I didn't think was a huge deal, but apparently somebody did. So Chris got his rumpled hair, and Lucas and Lee got their reconciliation.
Yeah, I just, that scene was so spectacularly done with them each coming from a different direction and spotting each other at the same time.
Fishing? Really? Trailblazing? Really? Classic. Beautiful piece of comedy gold.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And then leaving them, I mean, Lee says it, of all the dirty, rotten tricks. But he did the exact same thing when he was acting mayor.
Yeah.
He got the traveling doctor that Carson thought was a snake oil seller and Carson in the same cell to get them to talk it out. So Lee was just having one of his tactics used on him. So he should have recognized that.
He probably did, just a little too late.
Probably. So, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that they're going to reach some kind of compromise, or is one person going to give in to the other? Because Lee has now admitted that the biggest reason for all of his pushback is he was hurt. He was hurt that Lucas kept putting Edwin over him and that all of these other things kept being pushed ahead in favor of their opinions instead of Lee's opinion. And when you are personal friends with a government official, that is difficult. Yeah, Lucas says it's not easy making everybody happy, but maybe I'm not doing a good enough job with my friends, which good on him.
Yeah.
Good on him for realizing that about himself and that he is going to do better with that. They're friends again. I'm just wondering how they're going to resolve this issue because it's not going to go away.
Right. I don't know. I mean, there's so much going on in this town. I don't know how much coming up is actually even covering this storyline. So I don't know if it's just gonna kind of be back burner for a while and then we'll revisit it towards the end of the year.
Maybe.
But
I mean, Edie wasn't even in this episode, so there was no talk from her about it. Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens, but they're friends again.
yay!
Yay! I am really happy with the scene between Lucas and Rosemary. How, you know, he said, how bad is it gonna be? And what do you think? You know, he's not belittling her opinion at all. And she said, you put your opinion out very well and you have reasoning for everything. But then she goes right back and says, you miss him, don't you? You need to talk to him and not through a press release. And then
But
Lee,
unfortunately, then he saw the press release
yeah,
before
and
talking.
but that's the thing, he sees it. He sees it. It doesn't come out in the paper, but Lee is very touchy at the moment with good reason, but
Yeah.
he's still very easily agitated. And so he says, so you were going to put this in the paper like a royal decree? I'm like, easy, buddy. You know, he, he said
He
he
does get very sensitive.
yes, poorly. But it doesn't matter. It's in the past. Speaking of the past, let's go to one of the reasons why I think this episode had this title, because Jack calling Elizabeth mama at school is now a thing of the past.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. But I mean, I love her negotiating skills, but at home I'm still mama. And even, you know, shaking hands and striking a deal, I mean, that was perfect. And then the yes, Mrs. Thornton.
I also really loved that the other kids kind of realized they'd hurt his feelings, tried to explain why they laughed, why it was odd for them, and really did, try to make that up to him.
Bottom line, I think that she would do anything to help her son feel comfortable at school. And, you know, I really loved that she didn't jump to, oh, that's okay. You know, she said, did that make you feel embarrassed? You know, just asking him the right questions and trying to give him opportunities to express his feelings and not just placating him, but really trying to figure out a solution. You're like, oh, he'll grow out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really good that way.
Teaching would be easier with a writer's room.
With a script, yes, indeed, wouldn't it? So would parenting.
Yeah.
And kids who were paid to be there. Then interesting how Allie brought that back
Mm-hmm.
in her talk with Elizabeth. I was not expecting that to be a part of it at all. I mean, I called the calling her Elizabeth, but I did not expect that scene to come into play. And the fact that she said, if I were Jack, I'd call you mom all the time. And I went, ooh, we're getting personal. So let's talk about that for a minute. We've
I
got
mean, I took that to be the response to Elizabeth's line of apologizing for overstepping. And while Allie surely didn't like the information that Elizabeth had given her and felt maybe that she was being overprotective,
mhm.
I don't think she thought of it as overstepping because she does want her in that role.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's what Rosemary helped Elizabeth realize is Allie wants you in that role.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Even if it was her real mom, she wouldn't have wanted her mom to be overbearing like that, telling her what to do. She still wants to do what she wants to do, but she does want that motherly advice.
Yeah, it was really interesting how Elizabeth said to Nathan, so I can tell her that she can't see him. Well, yeah, if you want to make him irresistible. And then she did the exact same thing, but she realized it. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I felt protective. So, I mean, poor Elizabeth. She's trying really hard to be inclusive of the
Mm-hmm.
children in this newfound relationship. And she's doing a very good job of not leaving either of them behind. But it's going to be a whole lot harder to take big steps with Allie. Well, harder and easier. Harder because she's older. And so, she won't just glide into it as easily as little Jack will, but also easier because she's older and can understand more. And she's wanted this for a while. So, that part makes it happy. But the part that Elizabeth and Nathan were being protective about, I must bow to you and say I'm sorry. I jumped the gun. There was a triangle for an episode. I am not going to deny that. But but it looks like we do not have to deal with a triangle. It was only to give Oliver some competition and to show the flashy guy in town, but you had to feel sorry for her.
Mm, you do. And it's one of those things where I was kind of waiting for a few more lines between Nathan and Elizabeth about how she has to have some of these feelings. She has to go through some of this. And you and I talked about it too last week with Molly, where it's like, yes, you want to protect them, but there's also certain steps they just are gonna have to feel, whether it's now or later. Like there will be a time in their life where they feel sadness or rejection, and you want to protect from that and in the best way that you can, but you also can't 100% prevent that from ever happening.
Can you talk to her for me?
I loved how perfect that worked with it coinciding with when Allie needed to stay with Elizabeth. And I don't know if you and I actually had talked about it before, but I had been anticipating there being an episode this season where he would have to go out of town on
Oh,
mounting his
no, you
mental
didn't tell me.
and Allie would need to stay. And I was like, how is that gonna work out? Because it would be like she would naturally always go to Camfield's before when that happened.
Yeah.
And like how that transition would go. And so I was very like aware that there would be that kind of transition at some point this season where instead of her going with her friends, she would go to Elizabeth. And I
Mhm.
loved how it happened and coincided with the whole boy drama, because that was just a great opportunity for them to kind of bond over something that she wouldn't be able to bond with Nathan over in the same way.
It comes up naturally. But, I have a really hard time deciding which shot of Nathan was more appealing.
Okay.
Him standing at the bar as Danny DeMarco or him with his face in between the easel pieces. It happened right after he had held the cheese sandwich away and kind of leaned in for a kiss and like, you want a sandwich? You can give me a kiss first. So it happened right after that, and right before that was that completely adorable kiss where he fooled her, didn't fool any of the rest of us, but he fooled Elizabeth, saying, but I was distracted, and he's pretending to point to part of her presentation like, what? This part. That was
Darling.
That's the perfect word for it. Darling. It was a darling moment between these two people. We got a comment on one of our other episodes. I forget the username, sorry. But she said that she is really enjoying the scenes that don't have any kissing. And I want to just clarify right now that I do too. I'm a sucker for romance, so I love watching the kissing, but I also do love all of these little pieces of a bonded, strong relationship
Yes.
that is growing. And like we've said before, this is a very mature relationship. We had all of the pettiness and the uncertainty and the arguing and the drama, if you will. We had most of the drama when they weren't a couple. And so now we can bypass all of that. And they have a very mature relationship. And the way that they keep building, holding her arm and her hand, walking down the street, giving her a little kiss when it's just them in the house, patting her arm and winking at her when he goes in the car, dancing with her and not including a kiss, but just letting the dancing speak for itself. All of these pieces of this absolutely beautiful relationship. So, yes, watching the kissing is beautiful, but watching this relationship blossom in so many different ways is just gold. It's gold.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, back to Wyatt.
Okay.
He wasn't a dirtbag.
No.
That's one thing I gotta give him. He was not a dirtbag about it.
No. Allie made that comment at the end. I know he liked me when we were dancing. I don't know if that was maybe a misinterpretation.
It
I
could very
wouldn't,
well have been.
I mean, I'm not saying he didn't, but I more got the impression that he was trying to be nice. He does seem like, I mean, I'm assuming he's at least a year older. He's out there traveling on his own. I'm assuming he's 18
Yeah.
or so. Um, he very well, even though she's only a year younger, may completely see her as a young kiddo that's just this, person that he's met and she's nice and here she's having a birthday party and he just might seem like he's just trying to do the nice thing for some kid and
Yeah.
not see her as someone his age.
Well, and
She's not.
she's making all the moves. She didn't invite him to the party, but she was there when it happened. She asked him to dance. She asked him on a picnic. So she's not really giving him a chance to show any interest. She's being very, very pursuant of him.
Which again
And
would like I don't have any issue with that by itself. But
no,
for her to make comments that she knows he's interested, I'm just wondering what she's going on, is my only
yeah.
point to that line of thought. So I think part of that is just the being young and inexperienced and not knowing exactly what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, wishful thinking playing into that a little bit, which is completely normal when you're in early stages of feeling new feelings.
Yes, indeed. And
So I just think it's kind of the way it played out, and that she isn't. And I thought Elizabeth's answer to that was perfect, that young people can be very confused and not really know what they want. And even though I think she was trying to make Allie feel better about Wyatt, I think it really more applied to Allie, that she probably doesn't truly know what she wants.
yeah, well, and the other thing is, I saw a lot of Elizabeth's feelings coming out.
Yes.
It's really strange. We've had a speech to dad, and now we're having a speech to daughter,
Mhm.
and they're both about feelings. But I saw a lot of Elizabeth's feelings for Jack in the beginning and how Jack was confusing in the beginning.
Mhm.
And, Charles got thrown in there. And then, even when she was older, she had to deal with the Lucas and Nathan situation. And she had to go through some unpleasant experiences to end up with her right one. And then I know we've already briefly touched on this, but I just want to say it for the record. So I suppose you're going to tell me I'll get over it. You will in time, but you probably won't forget it. Elizabeth is really valuing her feelings and she's not diminishing them, which was
Perfect.
beautiful. Yeah, but you probably won't forget it. And that's a good thing because when the right one comes along, you'll know the difference. And then if I was little Jack, I'd call you mom all the time. What if at home you start calling me Elizabeth? Which home? Yours or mine? Maybe both. Okay, Elizabeth. I really like the sound of that.
I also, you left one line out of that from the middle, and is actually one of my favorites. It was something along the lines of, you know, you can think of me any way you want to.
Yeah,
And I think that was Elizabeth also realizing that while she's giving her permission, it's like she's also like she was thinking she didn't want to. And I think it's her kind of realizing that it is progressing faster than she thought it was.
I still, for some reason, can't get away from the line, which home, yours or mine? Let's combine.
We can solve that problem very
We can solve
quickly.
that very easily.
I would be perfectly fine with that. It's called an elopement. I have already predicted it. It should happen now.
I just wonder what they have in store for Nathan's proposal because it's gotta be good. We've had a lot of really great proposals on this show, and for
Yeah.
Elizabeth alone, we have had 3 proposals, two of which she wanted.
Fair. That's fair.
But we had the epic candle proposal with the rose petal path. I'm good. And then we had a proposal involving her child, which is gonna be a killer to any mother. and that he called her father. So, what is Nathan going to do to propose?
Right?
Oh man.
I'm actually going to predict here. To me, it's going to have to be semi unplanned, dramatic situation.
Okay.
Because again, it has to be completely set apart from the others. It has to be totally different.
Yeah.
I don't think a big, huge, elaborately planned grand gesture makes sense
Not
after
for
that.
Nathan.
Like I just feel like Jack did that. That was kind of done.
Yeah.
And the super simple but very planned with Lucas
Mm-hmm.
and intimate. But I feel like something that is more dramatic and in the moment, and then it could be followed up with something more traditional.
Okay.
He doesn't necessarily have to have a ring yet, or have like they could be in a very dramatic moment and then just be like, I know I have to tell you this right now, that I want that. I want to be married to you. And then maybe that's not the actual proposal, but it could be. I don't know. But I feel like it's got to be more along those lines. Potentially a harrowing situation with one of the children that may be coming up
Maybe.
when they're feeling very emotionally distraught, and so maybe not a proposal in that moment, but a very much like, I'm here for the long haul. I want us all four to be a family, like something along those lines coming up soon.
I've heard it said that we really shouldn't make relationship decisions based on an emotional experience or a
Okay,
dramatic experience.
maybe so, but those are the best movies.
I know. So I don't know how this would fit necessarily, but something I see happening is she thinks that he's giving her something else. And it turns out to be a ring because it's in a box that he made.
Well, that would be really, really cool. That could be, even if there was a more dramatic proposal and then he gives
Yeah,
her.
even if there was a more dramatic proposal, but I see something he made having an element in here because we know and we have discussed that his love language is making things and giving them to people.
Yeah, I could see
So
that. I could see that
that,
totally playing into it in some way. Yes.
yeah.
The only thing about that though is because she thought Lucas was giving her a ring and then he didn't. I don't know if not thinking it's a ring and then it is being a ring is too close to that situation.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to find out.
And besides, dramatic situations like falling into hay wagons from second story buildings have already got us to make big declarations that have changed the course of people's relationships. So I really don't feel like one more would be harmful.
There's the idea that we had in our fan fiction that she's lying unconscious and don't take her away from me, not when she was just about to be mine. And of course, I wrote that about their first kiss, but it totally applies to the wedding,
Totally.
to a proposal as well. So
Yes.
maybe I should write another one.
Maybe.
Maybe. All right, everybody. Well, while you go off on all of your musings, we hope that this has been a fun time where you can just escape from your daily life and enjoy a little bit of time in Hope Valley and the Union Club. Wherever you are in your day, morning, afternoon, or evening, remember to make it a great day. Remember how valued you are. Remember that you are loved. And remember to watch When Calls the Heart on Saturday. I'm so excited. Saturday. And I think it's perfect that the Saturday episode is the one that Melissa Gilbert is going to be on. That just seems very appropriate somehow. So, yes, it's very exciting. And I get to watch an episode live. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, Hearties.